Hi everybody, Tori here today with December Daily Day 10. On the 10th, I was really busy working, so I didn't really take photos. Whoops. But I had this photo that I used yesterday here. And it's a photo of my reflection in one of the ornaments on a tree. And I really like the photo, and I don't know why I used it in such a small, place. You can't even really see it here. So I wanted to blow it up, and I thought that that could be my story for day 10. My story for day 10 could be about, how I love Christmas, and I love all the twinkle lights, and I just love this time of year. Now, I could remove this photo because is it weird to have the same photo 2 days in a row? But honestly, I don't even think that if you were flipping through the album, you would really stop to look at this photo. So I am debating. I don't think I'm going to remove it. So I have this large photo, and then I have all these 2x2 squares, which I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with those yet. And I'm thinking I could put this large photo inside this page protector. And I did print off my photo for the next day too, which is this photo of my dog in front of the Christmas tree we had just decorated. And I'm thinking that could go on the back. So I'm thinking about putting it in the page protector. But then also, while I had pulled out this photo and the page protector, I was thinking I really like things outside of the photo, or outside of the page protector. So I'm thinking that maybe there's a way that I can incorporate these two photos in my album without it being in a plastic page protector. Just because they're printed on matte photo paper, so they're gonna be okay. And I don't know, I just like the tactile feel of having things outside of a page protector and different sizes and things like that. So I'm thinking I won't use the page protector. I haven't completely landed on that yet. I'm not 100% sure. I'm also not sure what I'm going to do with the back of all of these, what do you call them? 2x2 squares, because I only have one photo. I'm thinking I could use them for journaling spots and to journal about the things I love about Christmas time or December. It is the 10th, so I could journal 10 things I love about Christmas or December. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's kind of 8 blocks, but I could also add more than one, and I could use some of these spots for things other than that too. So I'm not completely decided, but anyways, that's where I am at. And I think I'm going to put you guys on speed up. That way I don't have to talk and think out loud. I can just kind of create, and then later I can go back and do the voiceover and speed you up too, so that you're not sitting here for however long it takes me to try to figure out what I am doing today. So anyways, but that kind of gives you a little idea of where I'm leaning. So without further ado, let's get started. When I'm not sure where to start, I just start with the first thing that comes to my mind. And like I had said earlier, I wasn't really gung-ho about sticking those photos in a page protector. I was kind of hoping to maybe think of something different. So I just went to my papers and my acetates and things like that, just to see if I had anything that might possibly work. And I was leaning towards using an acetate or a vellum just because I love them so much and I think they look so pretty in the album. So I'm just going to kind of play around and see with what works. And the nice thing about knowing what photo I'm going to be doing on the next page, I can also kind of look at the vellums and acetates and decide will this look good with what I'm thinking I might use for the next day too. So I just kind of went through each one trying to make my decision. To be honest, when I was working on the 10th, I was kind of feeling a little uninspired just because I didn't really have a photo or a specific story that I wanted to share. I was kind of making it up as I was going. But I think we all have days like that where
we are working on a project like December Daily or another kind of Project Life or whatever, scrapbook page, and we don't necessarily feel like entirely inspired, but we're just kind of playing. And I think some of us would like be like, oh, I'll just not work on anything today. But the way that I create typically is if I'm feeling uninspired, then that means that I need to work in my scrapbooks, because I feel like the only way for me to get over my feelings of uninspiredness is to like actually make something, if that makes any sense at all. Like I need to just play with my supplies and eventually I'll start to feel inspired. So I ended up using this grid acetate that I got, I believe, from Felicity Jane. And I think it's subtle enough that it'll work on there. And then the other thing I was trying to do was, if you can kind of see it in the camera, in the bottom right hand corner of that photo, there was like a little blue mark. I'm not really sure why, but when I was printing off some black and white photos with my printer, like my wide format Canon Pixma printer, it wasn't printing black and whites really well. Like there would be these random blue spots? I don't know. So also I can't talk today apparently. So I wanted to try to cover that up because I didn't really want to waste that photo, because I had already printed it out and I was like, I think I can salvage this. So I went through my chipboard to try to find something that I could cover up that blue spot. And I think you guys have seen me do this before, where I take like an imperfection in a printed photo and I just cover it up and I make it work. And honestly, I feel like life is too busy to try to like redo things and to waste my time on things like that. So if there is a way that I can fix the photo by just covering up something, then I'm gonna do that instead of having to like reprint the entire photo. But you know. So what I did was I just grabbed some chipboard from the Crate Paper Snow and Cocoa collection, I believe, and there were these trees, and I thought they would look cute on there with the photo of me in the tree. So I wanted to use that, and then that kind of gave me some inspiration for my actual project. So I had I had the Falala 6x6 paper pad from Crate Paper, and it coordinated or matched those trees perfectly. So I went through that and just pulled out some different papers, as you can see me doing now. And I'm just going to trim those down and cut some 2x2 squares so that I'll be able to fill in some of those squares on the left-hand side of this page. And I just kind of went with ones that match the trees, and I like the color combinations. I realized after I had finished this that I totally could have just used my scraps to cut 2x2 squares, but it didn't even dawn on me. So I ended up making like new scraps, I guess, but I'll use them eventually. And then I still had a couple other squares to fill in, so I went to my other scraps to see if I had anything that would match. And interestingly enough, I already had some other papers from the Falala collection that matched, like that one with the little house. And then I also had some scrap pieces of paper that were from a vintage Frosty the Snowman little golden book. And I just thought that they were so cute, like the vintage illustrations, and I thought that they would be really fun on this layout, and they actually coordinated really well with the colors in the Falala collection. So I cut out 2 of those. You can kind of see them there. And I'm going to fill in a couple of black spots there with those vintage illustrations. And I love them. They're just so cute. And they're just of like little kids in their snow getup. And I don't know. I just thought it was super adorable. And so I'm going to fill in all those spots with that. And I ended up deciding to go through my ephemera and die cuts and things like that, just to see what else I wanted to add to the page. Again, like I said, I wasn't feeling like there was a certain thing that I was trying to do. Instead, I was like just playing with my supplies, and I thought it would be cute to put little pieces of ephemera or die cuts on those squares that I had cut out. So I was just going through my stash to grab those out, and some of those die cuts come from the Falala collection, and then some of those really cute illustrations that I'm using, as well as the tabs that I put there. Those actually come from Feed Your Crafts, and they're doodles by Brandy Kincaid. And I love those doodles by Brandy Kincaid. I wish they were like slightly smaller, but they're actually super adorable, and I make them work, which I love, like that bird and that little mistletoe, or is it holly, I guess. And then there were two little tabs that I also ended up incorporating just because they were so precious. And I just liked how they kind of gave that like vintage feel, but they also like look really adorable on the layout. And yeah, I'm happy with the way that that turned out. One of the tabs says hope, and the other one said lovely. And then once I had kind of gone through all of my ephemera there, just trying to decide what to use, I was trying to figure out how I was going to add my journaling. And I decided that instead of adding the journaling on the 2x2 squares, which was the original plan, I would add the journaling on a couple of tags. So I'm just going through some of the tags here, and I had a couple that also came from Crate Paper, the Falala collection. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to adhere those two tags together and then punch some holes on them, and just to add my journaling. And I just journaled a little bit about how I love this time of year and how I love everything about it, and gave a list of some of the things that I really love, like the twinkle lights and the snow and the giving of gifts and spending time with family and friends. I just love that part. So I included that. And you'll see there that I also grabbed a flare that came from the Feed Your Crafts and Brandy Kincaid's collection, and it just said comfort and joy. So I added that with the trees. And can't forget my wood veneer number 10, which I've been using those wood veneers every day, which came from Felicity Jane, to demonstrate what day it is. And I'm going to just hot glue gun everything down. Now I wanted to say that I do realize that that tab in the bottom left hand corner is going to be a little bit of a challenge, because I'm on the back side of the page protector, so it's not really like that tab can poke through, but I have a solution for that, so I'll show that to you in just a minute. Sometimes I think we like want to use tabs or something, but we're like, oh, it doesn't work. Well, there's always a way that we can make it work. So I'll show that to you in just a sec here. And then I just started popping in those little squares and fitting them into the pockets. I do go back later and adhere things together so that they're not shifting around, but that'll just show you what I mean. So here I'm going to make it so that I can actually utilize that tab. So what I end up doing is grabbing my craft knife and just cutting a little slit in the page protector right where the tab would go. And then I kind of make it so that the tab is able to pop out above that little illustration with the tab kind of like, I don't know if that makes sense. I just cut a little slit and made it work, you know. And it worked really well, and it still keeps its integrity and everything, like it doesn't fall apart or anything, but it's a great way to incorporate an element like that on the back of one of those page protectors if you want to incorporate it. So one of the things that I didn't end up showing on camera was I went back afterwards and added some like ribbon and fibers and stuff to the top of those tags, just to make it so that they would just add a little more texture. So you will see that in the pictures. So if you are interested in checking out the pictures of this final project, head on over to my blog at toribustle.com. I'll leave a link for you below, and you can check out the final pictures. And in the final pictures, you'll be able to see where I added that little ribbon on the top of those tags. So that's pretty much it for me today. I'm just going to finish up my journaling and then show you what the finished project looks like. So thank you so much for joining me today for this December daily video. I know it's after December that you're seeing this, But that's okay. I'm gonna get caught up and post these videos as soon as I possibly can, so you'll get to see them. And I know there's some of you who are still working on yours, so I hope that it continues to inspire you. Check back soon for another December daily video or another non-December daily related video. And don't forget to hit subscribe and like, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!